This is Starry Night, painted in June 1889 by Vincent van Gogh. And even though these days it's one of the most famous and celebrated paintings in the world, he really didn't like it at all. But before we get to that, it's important to know how this painting came to be in the first place. Van Gogh didn't have what you call a happy upbringing. He described his youth as austere, cold and sterile. And his father had wanted to put him in an insane asylum as early as 1880 as he didn't agree with his son's lifestyle. How heartwarming. Vincent spent a few years bouncing around Europe until February 1888, when he moved to Arles in the south of France, where he had ambitions of founding an art colony, and apparently things seemed to go quite well at first. According to a letter home, he was particularly fond of drinking absinthe and the local brothels, which isn't the sort of travel advice you usually find online. He stayed in the now famous Yellow House and enjoyed painting the people and scenery that surrounded him there. Vincent had always preferred painting from real life and was inspired to paint and draw prolifically, producing such works as sunflowers, more sunflowers, portraits, chairs, and more chairs, and that picture of the Yellow House from a minute ago, obviously, which along with all those others was hung inside the Yellow House itself. In October of that year, artist Paul Gauguin came to visit, and they had a difficult relationship. They fought often, and Vincent felt that Gauguin looked down on him and didn't see him as an equal. I would guess that things probably weren't helped by Gauguin's rather unflattering portrait of Van Gogh. I'd probably have beef with anyone who painted me like that. During a particularly heated altercation on the 23rd of December, possibly upset by hearing the news of his brother's impending wedding, and also fearful that Gauguin was planning on leaving soon, Vincent allegedly attacked Gauguin with a razor blade, and either during this attack or sometime shortly after, Van Gogh cut off a chunk of his own earlobe. Merry Christmas, Vince. He then did what any sensible man would do, carefully wrapped up the chunk of ear in some cloth and immediately rushed it to Rachel, his favourite prostitute at the local bordello, and gave it to her as a gift. You old charmer, Vincey boy. The next day, Van Gogh was found by the police unconscious in a blood-soaked Yellow House, arrested and taken to hospital, and he never saw Gauguin again. Van Gogh's mental health deteriorated in the ensuing months, with him suffering from hallucinations and delusions of poisoning. And on the 8th of May 1889, he voluntarily checked himself into an asylum in Saint-Rémy-de-Provence. During his year-long stay there, he had a studio set up and carried on creating art, and seems to have been particularly inspired by the east-facing view from his room at the asylum, where he made at least 21 pieces based on the view of the Alpilles mountains, wheat fields, light green olive trees, and in 15 of the pictures, cypress trees. Of these pictures, one stands out. Painted in June 1889, Starry Night, or as it was known at the time, Night Study. Unlike all the others, it includes a city on the horizon, which doesn't actually exist. It's also the only one set at night that harks back to a couple of paintings from September of the previous year during his time in Arles. Café Terrace at night and Starry Night over the Rhône. Both these feature the exaggerated appearance and brightness of the stars in the night sky, though in this night study, Van Gogh cranks the swirling effect of the stars all the way up to 11, and he regretted that. A few months after completing it, on the 20th of September, Vincent sent a list of paintings he was planning to send to Theo, his art dealer brother, of which he listed only 6 that he was happy with, dismissing the rest as meaningless to him. And the night study was not on the list of ones he liked. So much so that when it came to actually send the paintings to his brother, to save money he ended up leaving 3 of them out. This painting was one of the 3 that missed out. In a letter to Émile Bernard, another painter Van Gogh was chummy with, he described the night study as a failure, and he knew exactly who was to blame. Gauguin. Gauguin had always preferred to paint from imagination rather than Van Gogh's preferred method of painting from real life, So Vincent blamed his former housemate, who he had chased away with a razor 9 months earlier, for leading him astray into abstraction and for reaching for stars that are too bright. Which, as far as being led astray, coming from someone who frequented brothels, chased people down the street with a razor, and drunk his own body weight in absinthe, is pretty rich. Another of Van Gogh's habits while staying at the asylum was eating his toxic lead-filled paint, puffing paraffin, and drinking turpentine, none of which are particularly advisable. As he put it, it appears that I pick up filthy things and eat them, although my memories of these things are vague. As his physician, Dr. Peyron, confirmed, Vincent had wanted to poison himself. Some people think that a possible side effect of the lead poisoning was a blurry effect on the vision, and that may have been the reason for the appearance of the stars in Starry Night, though seeing as he has written it was a conscious choice to embrace the abstracts, I'm sceptical. Van Gogh was released from the asylum on the 16th of May 1890, but sadly died just 2 months later, never receiving critical acclaim in his lifetime. Thanks for checking out my video. I'm planning on posting new stuff regularly discussing different pieces of art. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, or, don't. I'm not your mum, I'm not going to tell you what to do.